Boys and girls, and welcome to lesson 5.1. We are on a new unit, so guess what? We got a new pretty background, some snowflakes up there if you can't really see them. It's fall's over. We had the fall for the last few lessons, but now we're getting in closer to winter, so we have some snowflakes up here. And here's your objective for the first lesson of Unit 5. I will be able to use integers to represent real-world situations. Integers, what is that word? Let's check it out. Well, what in the world is an integer? An integer is any number that is not a fraction. So I list some examples over here, but there's literally billions upon billions and millions of integers. They're never ending. 4 is an integer. 87 is an integer. Even negative numbers like negative 242 is an integer. 4/7, well, that's not an integer because it's not a whole number. That is a fraction. 0 is an integer. Negative 5 billion is an integer. 474,000 is an integer. So any number that's not a fraction or a decimal is an integer, okay? This chart, handy little chart here is on page 346. So if you can't really read it, you could open your books and check it out. It's just a number line showing you that integers are any whole numbers. There's negative numbers, negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. Those are all integers. 0 is an integer. All the positive numbers and integers. Integers go on forever because numbers go on forever. But notice how there is no point in between negative 1 and 0 because that would be 1/2. Alright, that would be negative 1/2, sorry. And that's not an integer. So it's got to be a whole number to be an integer. Alright, so part of your objective today and what you're going to have to be doing tomorrow in class is you are going to have to take real-world situations and explain what 0 means. Alright, so take a look at this. If a football player had a 10-yard loss, now that wouldn't be me. I don't lose yards, I gain yards. But if a football player had a 10-yard loss, what does that integer look like? Well, it looks like negative 10 because they lost 10 yards. So the integer for a 10-yard loss is negative 10. But what does 0 mean? Well, if I picture a number line here, and there's 0, and there's, let's say, negative 10, and this is positive 10, what does the 0 represent? Well, 0 represents no yards lost or no yards gained. 0 is your starting point. This poor running back lost 10 yards. Now, if it was me, I would have gained 10 yards, probably more, and my integer would have been 10. But regardless, 0 is your starting point, so 0 represents no yards lost and no yards gained in that situation. Let's take a look at the second situation. I know it might be tough to see, but it says 4 inches of rain above normal. So what does the 4 represent as an integer? Well, 4 inches of rain above normal means it's positive, so it's simply just going to be 4. Alright, that's my integer. But what does 0 mean? Well, 0, if I draw another number line here, there's 0. We'll put negative 4 this time, and we'll have positive 4 over here. What does 0 mean? Well, 0 is the normal rain level. Alright, so if 0 means normal, this year there is 4 inches above normal, so that's where it would be. So 0 represents the normal amount of rain. Now, this lesson will also require you to graph integers on the number line, and you all know a number line. Here's one from negative 5 to 5, but of course it goes on forever. Now, how do you graph it? This is going to seem really simple, and I'm almost wondering why am I even teaching you this, because I know in 5th grade you learned this because Ms. Riggs is a great teacher, but I'm going to do it anyways because it's my job. Let's graph negative 3, 0, negative 2, and 4 on this number line. Okay, negative 3, there it is. Boom. We have 0, which is also an integer. There it is. Negative 2. There it is. And 4. This is actually quite boring, and I'm sorry if I'm boring you this evening, but hey, I have to do it. Part of my job, I get paid to bore you sometimes. And that's how we graph integers. Now you're saying, what if I wanted to graph just the integer of 5? Well, you know what you could do? You could put a point right on there. So pretty easy stuff, right? I hope. Now it's your turn tonight. You have some work to do for me. So if you can't read this, I'll read it for you out loud. It says, write an integer for each situation. Explain the meaning of 0 in each situation. So like our example that I did earlier with yards gained in football, this one's more like me. 15 yards gained. So what does 15 mean? What is the integer 15? Is it going to be 15 or negative 15? Those are your only options. But the key word there is gain. So I hope you know gain means going forward, not negative. Okay, next one is loss of 2 hours. So what is our integer going to be there? Is it going to be negative 2 or positive 2? All right, but both these questions have two parts. Explain what 0 means. So if you want to rewind and check out the situation before with football, you'll find out pretty quickly what 0 means. All right, and what does 0 mean with the loss of 2 hours? Okay, so you have two things to do there for each question. But you're not done yet. We're going to have some more fun. You're going to graph these numbers on a number line in your notebook or on a piece of paper. You have to draw yourself a number line because I don't have one for you right now. So draw this number line, -5 to 5. You can make your number line bigger if you want to. I don't know why you would, but you might be bored or you might like drawing number lines. Hey, it's your prerogative. But graph these numbers, -4, 0, 4, and 5 on your number line. Show me those other two problems and this problem tomorrow, and we'll have some fun in math, okay? Good job.